time, professionally, I owned an event planning company. It was a small firm of my own. I had a couple of girls working for me. Taylor was my number one girl. She was always volunteering, always offering to help out. You know, I just loved her attitude and her like vibe. We really meshed together. So on the way to an event, I was like, hey, I really want to open my own cycling studio, one that is very convenient for me to get to. And I was like, would you quit your job and be my GM? Like, just totally leave and just jump out on this cliff with me. She was like, sure. So then 2 weeks later, I like knocked on her door and I'm like, hey, just signed our lease, let's go. And she was like, wait, what? You were serious about this? And I was like, yeah. I was like, we have a business, let's go. You're now employed full-time here. Yes, you want to add on that?
Yeah, so like she said, I met Jessica about 2.5 years ago, formal Jessica. And we actually met through mutual friends. I went to IUP, so a little background on my spinning story and why I love it so much. I was a spinning instructor in college, and there was also this one instructor who did like a hybrid class, which is we'll get into that, kind of what we're specialized in and like what we're known for. So this girl we would spin and we would get off and do squats, and I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to make this a thing. So I moved to Pittsburgh after I graduated from IUP, and like she said, there was nothing around. There was nothing I was even like passionate about, so I kind of just stopped spinning. I would do it like by myself at LA Fitness, but I was like, I miss it, but I never really thought about it too much into it. So fast forward, I met Jess, and then I started working for her event planning company, like she said, and we just did everything together. We became such good friends, and she was just an amazing employer. I just really trusted her from the start. She always took care of us and always took care of me, so I just instantly, the trust was there. So yeah, we're on our way to an event, and she goes, hey, I want to do this. Like, I want to open this spinning studio. I know you're passionate about it as well. I haven't known you that long, but I feel like we could do this together. And I was like, yeah, like, sure. Thinking like 2-3 years down the road, who knows? I was currently at a software company. I was an account manager for a region doing like software for computers, like nerd, like totally fun, but like different. Like, you wouldn't think that that's where I would come from. And I loved it there. But then she's like, yeah, you got to quit your job. I was like, okay. I mean, this is my passion. Heck yeah, I'd rather software spinning studio. So I was like, okay, let's do this. So I ended up going into my sales manager's office and saying, hey, like, I had this opportunity. What do you think? And he's like, you got to do it. He's like, you got to go for it. If things weren't to work out, we love you. Come back. He goes, go. He's like, 2 weeks, like, you're out. I'm like, oh. So like everyone was just like pushing me also to like make this jump, and here we go. And we started it together, and it's been literally a dream. So
yeah. So awesome. October 1 of 2017 is when we actually signed our lease, and our building is located at 2200 East Carson, and that's the old Margaritaville for anyone that knows. That is an old bar.
I remember that.
Yeah, I think somebody was murdered there. And that's a real story.
No.
It was like, I think that's why it closed. Somebody was shot. I'm almost positive, or stabbed. It was closed for a very bad reason. And so it sat empty. It was vacant for many years. And then a company came in and tried to do like an under 21 club, and it just didn't have success. So then it sat vacant for another several years. And then, Tweedledee and Tweedledum walk in, and we're like, let's take it. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad has always owned his own companies. He's always been around. So my entire life I knew I wanted to do my own thing. And I also have this really, really great work ethic, and I think that Taylor does too, and that's why we get along so well. We did not stop. We demoed our building ourselves and with our families. Like, our brothers came up, our friends came up, we were with sledgehammers. I have learned how to like fix a toilet, lay LVT flooring, like I can hang shelves with my eyes closed, which is just like, it's wild.
You learn a lot.
I'm essentially an entry-level contractor at this point in my life. If anyone needs, some help, let me know. So we were just these really hard workers, and really just worked well together and meshed together to open the studio. And that's in October, and then we set our opening date, now this is like business mistake number one, and neither one of us had like had a brick and mortar before, so our learning curve is like out of this world. We set our opening date before we even got in our building. We set our opening date to December 30th, the day before New Year's Eve. And, we're working, and the equipment is relatively expensive. So that was the very last thing we wanted into our space. So we ordered these bikes and ordered all of our equipment, and the day before we opened, we still don't have these bikes. And I'm actually like super calm at this point. I don't know why, but I think I had just shut down internally. I was just like, okay, let's figure this out. And she's over here like almost, she was scary, it was terrifying. So I think that's where I'm gonna try to get into flow and like fill in this theme, is a nice workflow. When I think of the word flow, I think of workflow. And we have our problem, our cause, and our solution, right? Or cause, problem, solution. And the problem was we didn't have bikes for our opening. And the solution was to have a semi-truck that we could just go drive and pick up these bikes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but personally, I don't own a semi-truck. And in the South Side, I also didn't have anywhere to park one. So it just didn't seem like this really reasonable thing to be asked of. I don't know. It was just me. So we called several different people. We eventually got these bikes in the studio at 6 a.m. the day that we opened, and we had to call our entire family to help us build these bikes. These bikes come in pieces. And they're 200 pounds. It's myself, Taylor, her sister, and one of our friends, and we're all like, I don't know, 110, 120, and we're like hoisting these 200 pounds. I don't know what happened. I literally am just like a Hulk, like, whoo. These are honestly my most fond memories of owning Six Cycle, is our demo process and this kind of chaotic moment that we had opening our first studio. 6 a.m. these bikes are delivered with one man on a semi-truck, and the lift does not go down to the ground. It's like stops like 2 feet above the ground for whatever reason. It did not go all the way down. And it's icy, so it's December, and it's in Pittsburgh, so there's ice everywhere, and it's slippery and snow. And we have like these tennis shoes with absolutely no traction on, because again, I like don't have snow boots with like pegs in the bottom, just sitting in my closet for whatever reason. My bad. So we're hoisting these bikes into our studio, and do you want to take it over from there and how we built?
Sure. I'm just laughing because the image of us 4 girls just sliding all over the place to try to get these boxes out onto the ground and just push them into the building. It was just, we like made it it was fun no, it wasn't fun at the time, but we just had to laugh it off because we would just cry because we were like, this can't be happening to us. It was just so funny. So we finally hoist all these bikes in, and we just pull up a YouTube video. They're like, how to, put these bikes together. We all just watched this video. We're like, okay, got it. 2 people each, let's go. And like, we just kind of double teamed all these bikes. Like there was like a couple groups of us. We would get like 6 done at a time, put them to the side. Next 6, put them to the side. We had 21 at the time. Somehow we got it done. Some were a little quirky, some parts were a little bit in different places, but they worked. And I think we got them built by 10 a.m. and our first class was at 11 a.m. So somehow teamwork, we, fully flowed because we couldn't panic. It was, we had to just do it. So we, as a team, built all these bikes, got them where they needed to be, swept the floors from all the ice and snow, and people came in, and we had the most successful turnout. And no one knew, no one would have known except for us. So at the end of the day, we just looked back and we're like, how did this happen? Like, how did we get this together? But we did as a team, and that's probably the best story we have, because
it's by far the best story that we have.
Easily.
Is how we opened the first studio.
Yeah.
We no longer have those bikes. We've updated all of our bikes.
Right.
So if anyone comes, like, you don't have to worry about us putting them together. It wasn't us this time.
This time
we
it was
have brand new bikes.
professionally done.
They were professionally put together.
We did good.
So that was our first opening, and then we've been fortunate enough. We actually have a second studio over in the South Hills, and for this opening, we just hired everyone to do everything. We had learned that we are not contractors, and we should not be laying floors and trying to fix toilets, because they just continue to break. So we have a second studio over in the South Hills. It's really nice. It's really laid out. I like that one actually a lot more. So in order for us to grow our business from January to August of 2018, we were pretty slow within Southside. We were a new business. We really, again, didn't have any idea what it took to own a brick and mortar. And so the two of us just kind of worked together and took both of our backgrounds and, made this thing happen. So we started partnering with local businesses, and we would do events. We would take our bikes from Southside and put them in the Flats. We put them in Scenario. We put them in Tequila Cowboy.
These are all local bars and like clubs.
So we took them to places that just no one else was going to for a spinning class. And then, we had a little cocktail afterwards, which is always how you get people in the doors. You're like, free booze. And everyone's like, lines back there. So we started growing our social media following with those events. And then after that, we started looking at the content that we were really putting out as a company. Personally, when I look at Instagram, and Instagram's how we built our entire business. We're getting ready to open up a third studio, and I cannot stress enough how grateful I am for social media. It has been everything for us. So I take a lot of time and a lot of thought behind what content we're creating and putting out there because I want it to have value, and I want it to be informative to our clients and people who are potential clients. So if I post this picture of Taylor and I riding this bike, and you're not a client, you're not going to engage with us because why would you? You don't know us, and maybe spinning isn't really your thing. So then we started getting really creative. We started replicating TV shows. The first one we did was Stranger Things. We went up on Mount Washington, and I found the exact outfits that they wore. Like there's this shirt does anyone watch Stranger Things? Does anyone have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dustin wears that shirt that says roast beef on it. I found that exact shirt, and I put one of our girls in it, and I was like, hey. And I had her make the same faces, and then we have a really talented photographer on staff who edited it to look like we were in the Stranger Things movie picture. So then we started getting things to go not necessarily viral. We haven't hit that 1 million mark yet, but they started to go places where it wasn't just our friends, our family, and our clients sharing. It was these random people were like, hey, this is really cool, what you guys are doing. And from there, it starts to really build this community of people who just reach out to us and say, we're so inspired by you. And we live in Chicago, but we're gonna be there for the Steeler game. We're gonna take your class, which really just warms my heart. Because that's how I felt when I was driving 40 minutes to this one person's class, and that is all I've wanted to do is make someone else feel the way that I did when I took Tom's class. To have someone, that lives in Chicago say hey, I'm here for, 24 hours for the Steeler game, but I'm gonna make sure I can get to you for 60 minutes. It's really, it makes me proud of myself and proud of us for what we've built. Do you wanna build on community?
Yeah, it is very heartwarming to see everyone that didn't know us or about us before kind of grow with us and see us and just be inspired. And we've noticed a lot of people who maybe wouldn't have done something go for it because they would talk to us and be like, how'd you do this? And we'll tell them the same story. You just have to go for it. Believe in yourself. Know that maybe it won't work out, but try your best and have, supportive background. I was like, go for your dreams. Go for your goals. And we've seen a lot of friends, seen a lot of people do that and be successful because they believed in themselves. We believed in them, and they saw that, me and Jess, if we can demo, we make things happen, build bikes 2 hours before opening day, you can do it too. Just have to believe, have that flow, go with it. That's pretty much it. It's funny because everyone says we're yin and yang, and it's true because we are completely opposite, and we are a good team. In the best way. So she does all of the background, the content, the calendars, literally everything social media wise, her ideas. She's so creative. Everything all the designs great. And then I'm kind of, she gives me this and then okay, I'll make it happen. So I post about it, I'll help her build these things. But it's just we work. She does a lot of the back end stuff. I do a lot of the frontal stuff. I'm like, you know, the more of the face. I will talk to clients every day, send out the newsletters, do the miss you emails, all that stuff. So like we have such a good team effort, and that we discovered from the start. I think that's what also made us know we would work so well, just because we are so different but also similar with the same mindset, same goal. And it's just nice to, when people like recognize that and see that, even from out of town, the Chicago people who came and they texted me after, they're like, you guys are awesome. Like, that was so fun. So glad we met you guys. We just knew you from Instagram. And it was like, it sounded very cool to just see that and like know that. So that was nice.
Yeah, so to tie like back into the flow theme, I think that if anyone in this room is interested in being an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur and you're just like looking for a little bit of inspiration, it's definitely, I wouldn't want to do this by myself. So Taylor started out as the GM when I hired her, but 4 months in, it was a lot of work. We were up until like 2 a.m. just slinging these like 60-pound bags of tile into dumpsters. So like 4 months in, I like looked at her and I was like, you deserve to be an owner. And so Taylor, you know, bought in, and we are like officially partners now. But I think it's really nice to be able to have someone to work back and forth with. I don't think that I'd ever want to, with my experience with JLE as an event planner, I think that would have even been more fun if Taylor would have been like, it's nice having someone else's like skin in the game. To work back and forth with, because we are like the perfect, I'm super creative and she's super like this, and this, like has like a nice list to do. And I'm just kind of over here and like, la la. So it's really nice to work with someone and to be able to ebb and flow with someone. But yeah, I think that's our story about how we got started and why we got started. We really hope you guys can come check us out. So 6 Cycle, this is what I was looking at. I have notes on my phone. So the one thing that I did want to mention about 6 Cycle is I fell in love with spinning because it wasn't cardio. It is, but it wasn't. It's riding to a beat. So we do a lot of arm movement and ab work within our classes, and that's something that I really loved. I get bored very easily. I have like ADHD, and I just go way over there, and I'm not paying attention. So to get lost in this immersive experience that is also getting that cardio requirement that I so desperately was longing for, that's what made me fall in love with spinning, and that's what made me want to create this brand that, you know, was what I fell in love with, but even took it a step further. So we do offer things like hybrid classes, like it's half spinning, half yoga, half spinning, half Pilates, and then half spinning, half floor work, which is Taylor's creation, was our booty burn. But yeah, that's it about 6 Cycle. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, just like one little touch. Also, I think it's very important, or just so exciting and fun, is the group fitness aspect of it. So that's what makes me wake up every day just feeling so happy and blessed, because we have these 24 people coming in, all for one class, all one goal, there to help each other, there to support each other. And when you just look out there and everyone, we're just riding to a beat, we're smiling, we're laughing, we're wooing, we're cheering, it literally can bring tears to my eyes sometimes, because we're all there for each other. You know, everyone has their individual goal, but it's also a group effort. And we do these partner push-ups where you really do work with your partner next to you on the bike, and it's just so fun. So, and I also think that helps people to want to be there to work out. You know, working out's not always like, yeah, I wake up, oh, I want to go to the gym. Like, yeah, sometimes that is a thing, but like, it is a struggle, especially when it's colder out. You know, you don't want to work out. You would rather lay on the couch, curled up in a blanket. I get that. So it's nice to have, you know, friends or strangers that you meet there, groups of people that are there to help you, like, hey, how are you? You ready to do this? Like, let's do this together. Like, it's so awesome to have that group effort. So I think that's another thing about 6 Cycle, or just this in general, that's been like so exciting and so awesome for us. So yeah, that's it. Yes.
Like once you come, you just I don't know. Once you come, you just like drink the Kool-Aid and you're just in there. Like there's no escaping. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.